Alright, here's our first construction. First construction will be duplicating a line segment, which means we need to construct a new line segment with the same distance. We need to do that with the compass and straight edge. We're not going to be using a ruler. So what we need to first do is recognize we have two endpoints labeled A and B. Construct a new point somewhere off in space, if you will. I'm going to label it as A prime so that it corresponds with A. Unfortunately, though, I can't use my straightedge yet because I don't know how far to draw that. So I get my trusty little compass and I place one of the metal point on one of the endpoints, place it on B, pencil point at the opposite endpoint at A. Little arc there to see I have that distance. Now what I have is the distance from A to B is from the metal point to the pencil point. So all I have to do now is transfer that. Place a metal point on whatever point I used. Draw a small arc, don't need to make a big one. And now what you have is a transfer distance of AB in this construction. You can choose any point you like. I just usually like to throw a little slash. That point there represents B prime. Now I can use my straight edge. Lining up the points A prime and B prime, I now have a line segment that has the same distance from A to B. Thus I've duplicated this distance. So the statement I could write then is the following. Segment AB is now congruent to segment A prime B prime because the measure of segment AB is equal to the measure of segment A prime B prime. Easy enough. Let's try construction number 2. Number 2 asks us to duplicate the angle. First construction asks us to duplicate segment where we transfer distance. Now what we need to do is duplicate the degree of that angle. Side lengths do not matter. It's the measure of the angle. But we don't have a protractor. So this is a little more complicated, but I think you can handle it. So the first thing we're going to do is start off with a side of our angle. So I just draw any segment, any length I wish. Just make it long enough so you can use it. I'm going to identify the endpoints as B prime, C prime as to correspond to the side of this angle. In other words, I am not constructing side AB yet. Now, compass. Get your compass ready. Choose a decent setting, not too big, not too small. And now place a metal point at the vertex of angle ABC. Draw an arc so that it intersects both sides of the angle. And very important, do not change the setting of the compass. Transfer down to B prime. Put the metal point on the B prime. Draw an arc about the same length, but a little bit longer. I would suggest you make it a little bit longer. Make it a little bit darker for you so you can see it. Okay? Now, don't put the compass away yet. Go back up to your original angle. Now place the metal point at one of the intersections of the arc and side BC, and the other intersection of the arc with side AB. And find that distance between those points. Now, if you want to, you can throw a little arc there just for good measure. And now what's very important is to not change that setting. Transfer your metal point down to the intersection of the arc and the side given, and now what you have is a transfer of the intersection you had up here. So now you can get your straight edge. You found another point. Line up your vertex and that point, which is the intersection of the two arcs, and draw another ray. That represents the other side. And we'll call that point somewhere along that ray A prime. What you've now done is transfer the degrees of angle AB to angle A prime, B prime, C prime. Therefore, I could write the following statement. I can write now that the measure of angle ABC is equal to the measure of angle A prime, B prime, C prime, which we can conclude then, of course, that angle ABC is now congruent to angle A prime, B prime, C prime. What's very important to realize is that I did not duplicate the sides. I merely transferred the degree measure, and that's what it means to duplicate an angle. We're going to pause and we're going to move to other constructions. So you might want to look at the next video, which will deal with establishing bisectors. Have fun.